Hey guys, welcome back to Real Love Scenario. Shout
Hi,
out to all our real
everybody.
lovers out there and welcome back. How are you doing, Rhonda?
I'm lovely. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's like the weather is starting to turn. Let me not say that too early. Let me not say that too early because
You got a
it could
point.
get
You have a
it
point.
could get a little bit, more, the weather could drop a little bit, but right now the weather's starting to turn, so that's nice. So I've been working outside, which has been really cool. Um
Nice.
and just getting the fresh air and not even like playing any music or like doing anything, just like me and nature and just like getting work done. And I feel like so much more productive being out there in the world. So it's been great so
I
far for
love
sure.
that. I love that. And I feel like as the weather changes, nature comes alive. The birds are chirping more. The wind is rustling and bustling through. So I feel that. I feel like taking in the season is very nice. So we are almost in the clear. Is spring this week or next week? I
I
think
have no
it's
idea.
I think it's this week actually. So we're
Okay.
basically in the clear. We're basically in the
I
clear.
just know
Yeah,
once it gets April, then it's about that time.
that's for sure. That is for freaking sure. You're absolutely right. Well, for our real lovers that are in the chat, before we get into our real lover review, please drop your name and tell us where you're joining us from, as in city and state, not living room or bedroom, because we want to shout you out.
Awesome. Speaking of our real lovers, let's shout out one of our real lovers for today. So this one's easy. It's real simple. Nothing much to it, but it means a lot. It's from Helen Wiggins 9390, and it's just hearts. And it's black hearts too, which we love. Brown and
Yes,
black hearts.
that's
So
us.
we appreciate you sending you your love, and we're sending our love right back to you for sure.
Thank you, Helen. We appreciate that. Super simple, and we love that. That's what we're all about. Are we? We're all about love. So makes a
We
lot of
are
sense.
all about love, and we are excited when we have real lovers who like, comment, subscribe, and do the things we ask to do. Because, like we say, it doesn't cost you a lot, but it means a lot to us. So if you want to join
Absolutely.
the gang, make sure you do all of those things so you could be part of Real Lover Gang. But
Please.
speaking of Real Lover, this show is based around real lovers, and we gotta help one of our real lovers out today, Rhonda.
We do have to help out one of our real lovers today. Listen, this one was like, well, you never know what you're going to get. You never know what type of advice people actually need, but we are always up for the challenge. And we are
Yes,
up
we
for
are.
this challenge. So, you ready for this one?
I am. I am.
Let's jump into it. All right. She says, I'm excited to share my experience of being in a wonderful relationship for almost a year with someone who is attentive, kind, and genuinely sweet. He has seamlessly integrated into my life, getting along with my family and friends and showing generosity in ways that warm my heart. I look forward to us growing towards marriage and having a family. However, I'm currently facing a challenge regarding intimacy, specifically because I don't particularly enjoy receiving oral sex from him, despite appreciating his affection and enthusiasm for it. This has created a bit of a disconnect for me as I want to be honest about my feelings without hurting his feelings or causing any awkwardness in our relationship. I believe that open communication is essential for our bond to thrive, and I'm seeking advice on how to approach this conversation effectively, as well as ideas on how we can enhance our intimacy together while respecting my comfort levels, all in hopes of ensuring our relationship continues to flourish and grow stronger. Well, thank you so much for writing in. Uh,
Thank you so much for writing in.
Yeah, and congratulations on the new relationship. Love is a beautiful thing, and I love
Yes, it
it
is.
that you're excited to share about this wonderful relationship because finding love is a it's a beautiful thing. So congratulations on that.
For sure. Having someone who's attentive, kind, and sweet, like that are all those are all characteristics of what you want
Mhm.
in a person for sure.
Absolutely. Like I'm like, yes, girl, where you getting from? Send me the information. Let me just try my hand. You know what I'm saying? But yes, that's amazing. And I get it, right? Like you feel so good. I mean, nothing quite tops new love, I don't think. Like, even when you've been in a relationship for a long time, you can like still appreciate a person, you can still love them and value them and their new moments to discover. But there is really nothing like that, like initial time, because it's so like sweet and special and almost like obnoxiously obsessive. Like, I want to talk to you all the time. I want to spend time. Oh, I can't wait to see you. Like, it's so much it's just a lot of giddiness around new love. And
Mhm.
I get that. And I get when you hit that bump, that first little thing where you're like, ooh, there it is. There's that thing that
Right.
I don't like, right? Doesn't it always reveal itself? There's always a little thing or a big thing that comes up where you're like, damn, well, I
That's when
guess we
you
got
realize, like, oh, this isn't a scripted romance movie
Yep,
or novel, right?
yep,
There are things that I did not predict to be a part of this that are actually a part of this. So it's like,
yep.
now I got to figure out how to work through this thing because I made
Now
up in my mind that it was this fantasy. So how do I
mhm.
now work
Imagine
through the
an
real
AI
life
first
version
work
of what's
platform
going on?
that helps teams do more.
Exactly, exactly. Sorry, I have no idea why that just started on my phone. I apologize. But yes, that's the reality. And to be honest, that is something that should be embraced, right? Because if you're thinking about, like she said, she's looking forward to growing towards marriage and a family. The
Yeah,
reality, that's real life, and that is going to come with some challenges. You know what I mean? And so you do want to know what it feels like to manage or navigate a challenge with your person, because that becomes the new discovery as you really start doing life together. It is like learning how to work through some tougher times, how to get through some storms and how to ride the waves. And I think those things make you appreciate your person even more. It's not just how cute they are, how beautiful they are. It's not just the cute dates and the thoughtfulness of sending flowers just because. It is like, wow, we managed a tough moment and we like got through it. So the first thing I want to say to her is like, be grateful that you've hit a challenge and now it's time to really put the rubber to the road and figure out how you can navigate this. So, bravo to the new love, but also bravo to being prepared to face your first challenge. And also, thank you for trusting us to help you with it because that's what we're here for. That's
for
exactly what we're
sure.
here
Okay,
for. So,
Rhonda, where you
Dre,
want to start?
listen, the first thing I thought about when I read this was the infamous 80-20 rule, right? Like,
Okay.
we've heard of this. And for those who may not know what it is, like, what's your best way to describe what the 80-20 rule is when we're talking about relationships and dating?
My best way of describing it,
Like when you hear 80-20, what do you think? Somebody say this is the 80-20 rule. You got to just that's good enough.
that the majority of, let's say, issues or problems could come from the smallest of things. Just
Yeah.
that's like the first thing that comes to my mind is that majority of something comes from the minority of something essentially. And that's really the foundation of the 80-20 rule.
That's absolutely true. And the way that I've remember it like coming up is like 80% of the person is just fine. They're great. They're perfect. But 20% of them is things that you don't necessarily like, things that you don't really love, or if you could redo them, you would probably fix that 20% of things. But overall, who wouldn't want 80% over 20%? Or you don't want that to be lopsided. You don't want 80% of the relationship to be bad and 20% to be good.
For
So,
sure.
yeah, so I think between our two interpretations, we got this real lover pretty nailed down. Like, you have this
Yeah.
wonderful man, but this one little thing.
See, I think it's like what I'm starting to learn in life, which actually helps me out because I feel
Hmm.
like in life you have to be able to give your own self grace and you have to
Yeah.
understand like mistakes will happen. Like I have affirmations, I guess you call them affirmations. I call them daily reminders that I kind of
Hmm.
read to myself every morning just to make sure I'm in the right headspace. And one of
Yeah.
those is mistakes are going to happen. And as I started to advance in my career and in business, I learned that the job or the goal is to be a net positive with anything that you're doing. Like you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have wins. if you can come out at the end of a quarter or end of the year as doing more good things than bad things, then you essentially won. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
even business is all about, right? It's like your profit. Like that's why they have profit and loss. If you make more than what you spent, then you are a profitable business.
Yep.
Hooray. Like that's what we're always trying to be at the end of the day. So even when
Mhm.
it comes to relationships, it's like I'm not going to be perfect, nor is my wife going to be perfect. We're both going to make mistakes. But the goal is that there should be more good than bad.
Bad.
If
Yep.
there is more bad than good, then that means there is a major problem. And a lot of times people are in these relationships where there is more bad than good, and they don't know how to get out. And it's like, all right, now that's the time to seek therapy and all this stuff. And if you're in that situation and your partner's like, I don't want to seek therapy, I don't want to talk to nobody about it, I feel like everything is fine, then that's an issue. Because even
Yeah.
I read a Bible verse every morning, and I ain't going. I'm not a type to quote scripture exactly, but basically it says that if the darkness that you have, you think it's light, how dark is that darkness? Essentially, right? It's like
Mm.
it's like if you think the darkness you have is light, then how deep is that darkness? And it's the same with issues in a relationship. If the bad is outweighing the good, and you still feel like things are in a good place, that shows you how bad we are actually in this situation. And we need to figure it out and get some help to get things back to the positive. So I feel
That's
like
right.
our real lover is in a great place in the sense
Mhm.
that it seems like there is a net positive. And that's what you're talking about 80/20, is that there are more good than bad. And it's not even necessarily like how you judge it is important, because
Yeah.
it's like it can look like 20%, but 20% can equal 90% if that 20% is something that's crazy bad. I don't want, oh, they're so affectionate, loving, and kind. It just beat me a little, right? It's like, no, that's
Yeah.
not
No.
that's not 80/20.
No. Not at all, not at all. That 20% would be heavily weighted. Like, it's
Yeah,
really about how you weight the issues, and I mean, I think you completely nailed it, that you more than anything want the good to outweigh the bad by a landslide. You really, really do, and I think that when you think about, again, 80/20, 80 is 4 times as much as 20, right? It is a lot more being or going in the right direction, and I think that's truly what we want when you think about meeting someone and you're thinking about common interest or how you think about life or your fundamentals or like what you truly want about life, you want a lot more of you to align with that person than not align with that person. And I
for
find that
sure.
a lot of times relationships really go wonky because even early on, we believe in this whole concept of like opposites attract. And I'm not suggesting that opposites don't attract, but there are so many things that it is crucial for you to align on if you want long-term partnership. I can't want to live off the grid and live as a backpacking nomad for the rest of my life with a person who can't fathom that and hope that, well, at some point we'll just get on the same page. Is it possible? Of course, there's always outliers, but is it likely? What's the probability of that happening? It's basically slim to none. So it is really important that you try to be on the same page about especially the things that you weight the heaviest. Like you said, Dre,
Hmm.
that 20% could really be heavy if you put a lot of weight on it. So yeah, we both might like fried chicken. We both might like to read. We both might come from a two-parent household, and so we understand family dynamics really well. But if I think that sex is incredibly important and you could care less about it, well, that one thing could absolutely crush all those other things that we absolutely have in common and that we love about each other. Especially for me, where I value sex. It is how I feel most connected to my person. It is something that alters my mood positively. And if I don't get it, I'm very mean or I'm not very good at work. And so it is really trying to figure out like what's really important to you and ensuring that you all are aligned on the things that are very, very important to you. And for some people, in this particular case, I can't really read if sex is very important, but I can imagine it's pretty important to her, at least this particular part of it, which is why she wants to get it right with them.
Yeah, that's the question I really had. Now that we're digging into this, it's like
Yeah.
when it comes to the oral sex, and if you're just joining, I'll put the scenario back up really quick. But
Yeah.
when it comes to oral sex, it's like, do you not like it, or do you not like the way he's doing it? That's the
Yeah.
question.
It sounds like she says, "I don't particularly enjoy receiving oral sex from him." That's what she wrote. Despite appreciating his affection and enthusiasm for it. So it sounds like it's something he really enjoys doing and maybe really enjoys giving to her, but she doesn't enjoy receiving it from him. And so it doesn't sound like it's just like not her thing. It sounds like it's not my thing with you, my sweet love, new love.
Hmm. Oh, whenever I hear stuff like that, it make me think like a little kid who like trying and trying and trying, and it's like, oh, baby, bless your heart, you trying, but
No,
no,
but
no.
no.
It's like that's sad, man. I don't like
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
upsetting.
That's
I
tough. It's tough, but I do wanna dig into, right, because she used the word intimacy, and then we're talking about, like, a intimate act, and I think it's important to separate the 2 things, and while physical intimacy, the full act of having sex, whether we're talking intercourse or, oral sex or even foreplay, any of the things that you basically do with your partner in the bedroom or wherever y'all do it at, um, I think that is a form of intimacy, but then there's so many other like non-sexual forms of intimacy, right? That can usually lend itself to making the physical experience so much better. Like one of my favorite forms of non-sexual intimacy is listening to music together. Like something about going through songs and like talking about them and being like, "Ooh, you hear that?" Or like you we both love music. And so doing that with my partner, especially music that might be a bit more romantic or music that might be even erotic, can be such a huge turn on for me. Like, and it might be weird for some people, but that's something where, like, if we're doing that and I feel like you're catching things in the song that I didn't hear, you're telling me stuff, I'm like, ooh, it's like sexy to me. Like, I really enjoy that. It goes beyond just enjoying some good music because I could listen to all those same songs by myself and I don't feel necessarily turned on, but something about me and my partner, like doing that together and enjoying it, I really, really appreciate that. Like, what are some non-sexual forms of intimacy that you enjoy? Like, that things that I don't wanna say turn you on, but maybe just stuff that you're like, "This is really nice." And girl, when we get Bree, when we do get there, Imma remember this.
Oh, no, that's a good question because I'm not necessarily a physical touch love language type of person. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much when the intimacy comes because I see intimacy as like an emotional closeness
Yeah.
that I have with Bree. And it's like talk dirty to me, but talk dirty to me in my love language. That's what brings
Mm,
the intimacy out, right? It's like
yeah.
when you acts of servicing it around, and I'm seeing all the stuff you're doing, it's like, yo, that makes me get butterflies inside. It makes me feel
Oh.
good, right? It's like I told Bree the other day, it's like, yeah, I'm not a person really crazy about like gifts and stuff, but like in our fridge, we have like waters that we fill up every single day and we like drink them and refill them. And sometimes I forget to refill my waters. It's by my bed or in the office. And when I'm thirsty, I'm like, dang. And I open up that fridge and see that water filled already. I'm like,
Ooh, that's
I
my
got a
wife.
good one. I
I got
got
me a good old wife.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like that,
Mhm.
is a great feeling. But also it's like we are so busy and like have so much going on that slowing down together is a very intimate um feeling and a very intimate act. So that could be watching a
Yeah.
movie, that could be going for a walk, that could be sitting outside drinking a glass of wine, but like us
Mhm.
both hitting the brakes together and just winding
Yeah.
down our day, like that's a very intimate feeling to where I just really feel connected. And it's like, even she's laying down, foot on my leg, or her resting her
Mhm.
head on my chest. It's like it has nothing to do with sex. And for those who don't know, me and Bree waited for marriage for almost
Mhm.
4 years. So there was a lot of that that kept us close and
Yeah.
made sure that we pushed through those moments. So those are the things that I like from an intimacy standpoint, especially because I'm, like I said, I'm not a huge physical touch person where it's like, oh, you gotta hug me every time you leave or kiss me every time you go to bed. Like it's just so
Yeah.
small things that make me feel close.
Yeah, and those are like huge. Like I know that you said small, but every single thing that you just talked about is really about consideration. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that Bree knows at this point. You all have been together for a long time and you've been married for several years. I'm sure that she knows that like Dre likes this. You know, like he
Hmm.
likes when I say, "Hey babe, let's just slow down and take a quick walk," or "I know that you're busy, but I just opened this bottle of wine. Let's go sit outside and just like enjoy it." And I think like people really underestimate how these small things really contribute to your physical intimacy. Like you may not think about it in the moment because, like you said, you're not experiencing a physical sexual act. But once you are in the physical act, it just makes you feel so much more appreciative for your person. Like there have been times where I'm just sitting with my boyfriend and we're talking about his day, we're talking about whatever, and I get lost in him. Like not even and obviously my current boyfriend, like when I've been in
That's what
relationships.
I was about to clarify. I was like,
Let me
Rhonda would have announced
clarify.
it. Rhonda would have announced it if
Y'all
she was
know it
talking
when I
about the
get him.
current, the current boyfriend. That's why I caught myself for a second. I was like, oh, what?
No, no,
Hold
no.
on.
Like when I've been in relationships, not
Yeah.
not currently, looking forward to it, but not currently. But like just listening to him, there are times where I might like zone out on what he's saying and I just get lost in like looking at him. Like I'm attracted to this man. Like I'm attracted to everything about him, like his eyes and his skin and just even how he speaks. Like I love learning from my partner. I love feeling inspired by my partner. So, yes, while I'm being attentive and like having this moment with you, trust me, there are times when weird things are just firing so good. I'm just thinking, like, God, I'm so blessed. Or like, oh, he is so sexy. He's just like so smart. And there might be times where I communicate, but it's just times I'm thinking it like, oh, I love this person. I'm so grateful for this person. I might even be, like I said, saying a quick prayer to God, like, thank you for bringing this person into my life. And while I have not had the pleasure of having intimacy in the through the union of marriage, so by typical Christian standards, I don't have no business having sex with him, but the Lord's still working on me. And trust me, I'm also thinking like, whew, when it goes down, it's about to go down. It's about to go down. My ex, like he used to get up in the mornings before me, like on the weekend, because I had really busy weekends a lot of times. And he would like go and take the car and get it washed and put gas in it. Let me tell you something. Before I got that weekend going, he received my gratitude. He received my gratitude in many different ways. And so like those things are also considered intimacy because intimacy is truly just like Dre said, emotional closeness, doing whatever, like talking dirty to me through my love language. I love how you frame that because that is not, yeah, do this to me. Talking dirty is goes well beyond sex talk in the bedroom or pillow talking. It is really about like paying attention to me and doing the things that I like. So while we talk about this, I want y'all in the chat share like your favorite non-sexual intimacy. Like what do you like? What's your, let's just put the word, like, what's your kink that's not kinky? Like what is that? I would love to hear what y'all what does it for you guys.
Yeah, it's about the intimacy. I think is really just about comfortability, right, and a trust, and like we said, the closeness, because we know that just physical touch alone does not create intimacy. You've had
Mm-mm,
people touch you before, and you like, get off me!
mm-mm,
Don't touch me! I don't. Ugh. You might wash your shoulder, throw the shirt away, throw it in the washing machine, and wash it because you like, I'm just so disgusted by that person touching me. But I remember one
yeah.
time, yeah, we both were there to where there was this workshop to where it was like an intimacy like exercise. You remember that, Rhonda, at the
Oh,
gathering spot?
yes. Yeah.
And how I knew it's really about trust and really about comfortability and really about closeness is that one of the exercises was it's finding a person next to you and just staring at them in their eyes. And it just
Yes.
felt so awkward with a stranger, like even just
Yeah.
staring, glaring into their eyes, like you want to laugh,
Mhm.
you want to look to the right a little bit. Like it's not a
Yep.
comfortable feeling because it's just
No.
even that small form of intimacy, it just doesn't work with a stranger. And that's just looking at somebody in their eyes for an extended period of time. It just feels
Mhm.
awkward. It doesn't feel right. And I know that I could do that with my wife, right? And we have
Yeah.
that closeness that I can look at her all day. She could look at me all day. But that's a comfortability. That's a trust, right? That's
Yeah.
a feeling of closeness that we have. So that's how you know it's not about physical touch. It's about that feeling of trust
It's
and
about that
comfortability.
connection.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And it's sad when you think about there's some couples who probably can't do that. You know what I mean? Like they can't, they've never even spent time just like looking in each other's eyes without talking, without saying anything. I think that is one of the most powerful experiences. And I'm gonna go there. Like it's a powerful experience outside of the bedroom, but it is also a wildly powerful experience in the bedroom. Like to just lock in and look at one another, eyes to eyes. Don't try to turn away. Just focus on one another. Again, in the bedroom and out of the bedroom, it's a very powerful experience. And if you can connect like that without words, I think your hearts are in sync. When people talk about like soulmates, like I think your soul is like talking to each other. It's a very, very powerful experience. And I can't stress it enough. Like when you think about like those who go through the experience of like, oh, our sex life is struggling or things used to be good, or you're just in a long-term relationship. So you've been having sex with the same person for years and years and years and years. A lot of people think that, oh, we gotta think about getting someone else in the bedroom, or we got to try toys, or we got to just watch porn or whatever. There are so many other things that you may not have even tapped into that still only include the two of you, which is like I said, that looking at each other is a part of that. Holding hands in a certain way, changing the tempo, and not always just trying to get to the climaxes is so many things that people don't explore that only include the two of you. And that emotional intimacy that starts well before the bedroom is probably the problem. It is likely not the act because you both are physically probably still able to perform, but some
Hmm.
sort of brokenness is there in the emotions. Likely somebody's not considering the other person, someone is not being attentive, the water bottle's not getting filled up. You know what I mean? Like whatever that thing is that you used to do to really consider your person and take good care of them, that is probably why your sex life is struggling. It is likely not because their anatomy likely didn't change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the goods are still the goods, but the energy that you're bringing to make them feel appreciated and loved is probably not there. That's likely the problem.
For sure. a hundred
Yeah.
percent.
So how important do you think it is to like be the ultimate pleasure partner for your partner? Like do you feel like you have to be their best ever? Like you have to be whatever their thing is, you've got to be able to satisfy that.
Yeah, I think you have to be right. Their pleasure
Mhm.
partner, best ever had, whatever, right? I feel
Right,
like
right.
there's so many things that fall into that best ever experience, right?
Mhm.
Like, of course, it's what you do sexually. That's one thing, but it could also be circumstance. It could be where you are in life. Like some circumstances are more steamy, right, than others, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the way that this was set up, maybe forbidden love, something like that. It gave a little
Mhm.
extra huh to it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's
or a trip,
also,
you were in a certain
yeah,
location and it's like,
patient.
well, yeah, we in Dubai. This sex in Dubai might just be different.
Right. And it's also
Yeah.
like I love Cinnabons. Are they great for you every single day? No, right?
Nope.
But I could tell you it excites my taste buds and it tastes great. So you could look at a single experience or a single time and say, like, that experience was amazing. But I think when it comes to your long term relationship, that should be, the person that you feel comfortable with and you feel satisfied by for the duration of whatever your relationship is. And like I said, the main thing is satisfied. Like satisfied. I mean, sometimes I eat every day. Is every single meal I eat the best meal I ever had in my life? No, but as long as I'm satisfied, like, and I feel like I don't have to go to get more, and I was like, man, that was good. Like, that was
Yeah.
really good. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure we all have made things ourselves, tasted things from other people that said, like, man, that was really good. Was that the best meal you ever had in your life? Maybe not,
Right.
but it wasn't nasty and it wasn't okay. It was great, right?
It was
Like,
good. Yeah.
I just need consistently great. I don't need fireworks every single time, because as we all know who's experienced that, there's some things that come with fireworks. We know there's some things that come with those experiences, all like if
Mhm.
you're having that all the time, right? Because that's typically just not the reality. But I think it's important to understand and to note that pleasure is what your partner enjoys, right? So for your past relationship, it might have been one thing. For your current relationship, it might be a different thing. It's not on you to tell your partner what they should feel pleasure from, right? It's like
Yeah.
you guys communicate with one another what you find pleasurable. And if you're one of those people, which I know that I am, and from our conversations, I know that you are, is that you like to please your person. Whatever is their thing, however they like to get down, the thing that gets them going, you find pleasure in giving them pleasure. So you will adjust gladly and happily because you
Yeah.
know that they enjoy that and you want to see them satisfied. You want to see the smile on their face. So I
Yeah.
do think your person should be your ultimate pleasure partner, in the sense that they should have the exact cocktail concoction of all the things that you want, because they should know all the secrets, all the buttons to press in order
Yeah.
to make you satisfied.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. You nailed it. I think that it is very important and you should prioritize understanding your partner in all the ways that please them. Obviously, we're focusing on sex because that's kind of the main topic of this real love scenario, but anything that brings you joy or pleasure, I want to be that to you. I want to make you happy, and not your ultimate happiness. It's not all on my shoulders, but in the ways that I contribute happiness to you, I absolutely positively want to do that. I like you said, it is my pleasure to please you. So I want to know, I want us to have conversations about that. And I also want to know the things that you do not like. Like you said, it's not up to me to necessarily tell you what pleases you. Now, I do get to have my boundaries, right? I do get to say, "Oh, you like that? Well, that's cool, but I'm not comfortable doing that." If there are things that don't make you comfortable, that's an open conversation, and you have to be mature enough and honest enough to be able to have it, because you always want to give someone plenty of space, right? To say, well, I really need that, or I don't really need that, and that's okay that it doesn't. If it doesn't make you comfortable, then let's not do it. But I absolutely want to ensure that my man, my future man, feels that I care about pleasing him. Like if that
Hmm.
is how what temperature he likes the bed, what temperature he likes the house, what meals make him very happy, and which ones are just okay, or the ones where he like, babe, don't ever make that again for me. Like if you want to eat that, that's cool. But I'm good on that. That's not good for me.
You know, the thing I really, and I can't speak for everybody else's marriage, but I was talking to this with some friends the other day, after for the girls taping. And I was like, man, being married is so great, because not that the expectation is lower, but it
Mhm,
takes less to satisfy your person, essentially. Because it's
mhm,
like when you're single, and I'm just speaking from a guy's perspective, there's all these things you feel like you have to do in order to please someone and make someone
mhm.
feel good and make someone happy. And then once you get through all the stereotypes and the things you should and shouldn't be doing, and you get comfortable with the person, they trust you, and all that other stuff wears off, it's like, oh, it doesn't take much, right? It's like, oh, this is pretty simple. Like, this is
Yeah.
not as hard as I thought it would be when I was single. So we were even talking around the sex conversation, and like how I talk to, some women now who are married is like an hour. Oh my God. Who got time for an hour? Like, even 30 minutes is like, whoo, like that's a lot, right? Like,
Right.
consistently, like, yeah, give me a good 10, 15. Like,
We good.
maybe I'm good, right?
Right,
But it's
right.
like, as a single dude, it's like always, oh, you finishing early, you finishing early, you finishing early, you finishing early. And it's like all this pressure that's built up on this, and you got to do this, and you got to do this like that,
Mhm.
and you got to do this like that. And then once you get married, it's like, based off of who your person is and who you're talking to, it's like you could realize, like, oh, this is not even like all these things I built up to be. It's like,
Mhm.
oh no, this person don't even really want all that, right? And it's
Yep.
like, it's a lot more simple than I was making it out to be in my head. And I think a lot of people have that
Mhm.
experience, not just with sex, but a lot of things in relationships. I gotta
Yep.
always do this, I gotta be like this, oh, I'm gonna have to pay for everything. And it's like you build up all these things. Or even from a woman's perspective, maybe like, I gotta cook and clean every day, I'm gonna have to clean up behind it. And it's like you realize, like, oh, nah, it's not. It's like
It's
the
not even like
single
that.
life. Yeah, it's not even that deep. It's like once you get in it, it's like you guys get an understanding, you talk things out. It's like you guys support each other as you're going through things and trying to figure things out.
Mhm.
It's not as demanding as you might think it is.
Yeah, and I think that when it is, like, if you are in a situation where it does feel like that, like you're always having to perform, you're always having to be on, you can't seem to ever satisfy them. They say they want this and then you do this, now they want something else. I think that that is not a good relationship. That is a person that you likely can't ever please, and they are likely coming up with ways to keep you far from them. It's a tactic almost to make you feel less than. Whether we're talking a man or a woman, I don't think that that's real, because majority of the relationships that I've been in, even though they did not stand the test of time, the reality was, once we got into the groove of it, like you said, I learned them. I paid attention to them. And so it wasn't all that hard to actually meet their needs and their expectations, because once I got it down, I stuck to the script. And the only time that that stopped happening is when the relationship was tailing off. It was when it was coming to an end. It was when I was refusing to do things because we weren't seeing eye to eye. We were no longer emotionally connected. We no longer prioritized each other. And so same for him. A really good example is my ex, which I've talked about on the podcast a lot. So forgive me if y'all get tired of it, but it's one of the most significant relationships in my life. He set the tone for sending flowers to me regularly. From the moment that we met, that was something that he did. And he continued that for almost every 2 weeks of our relationship, and we were in a relationship for almost 5 years. So imagine, I got flowers all the time and very regularly. But that last year of our relationship which was the most trying time of our relationship, that started to taper off. Would I still get them? Yes. Would I get them in the same frequency? No. They came a lot slower, a lot more irregularly. Even the notes that came with them, they were way more descriptive. They just were kind of like, I could tell that they were being sent out of obligation, and they were no longer being sent from a place of true passion and love. And guess what was happening? While I appreciated the flowers, I was no longer as satisfied, because they just didn't have the same energy, because he was just doing it just to do it. Like, I gotta stick with the shit because I've been doing it all this time.
The
Where I'm
notes
like, well,
went
if you
from "Have a great day, baby, I hope you enjoy" to ILY.
yep, yep, yep. Like, or like, have a good day. See you later. Like, it just wasn't, they didn't have the same energy. And that is when you usually know that, like, hey, something's going on. The relationship is suffering, and we're not putting as much energy into it as we once did. And that act that I once cherished, receiving those flowers, that like every time I would take pictures, I would send like, oh my God, baby. Like, I would act like it was the first time every time, because that's how it felt to me. But those last ones, it was like, thanks. Like that and it's so cyclical, right? Like when you think
Yeah.
about a relationship falling apart, regardless of who got the ball rolling, regardless of where it started, that energy just recycles and recycles and recycles until someone decides either it's over or hey, we got to stop and fix this.
Yeah, one example too of what I was talking about is I remember when I met Bree, she
Mhm.
was like that in a past relationship, her ex wanted every time they had sex to dress up in lingerie. And I was like,
Mm.
who got time to like? I don't care. Like, listen, you ain't gotta do all that for me. Like, you do not gotta do all that for me. Even like the whole like, I want to not to get too intimate, but well, we're all adults here. Like, I want to make
Yep.
sure I'm shaved and like, oh, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna be with you for the rest of my life. You don't have to do all that like every time, and that experience could have somebody have a different relationship with that act, right? So that's why it's important to have the conversations because you might be dragging something in from a previous relationship that is not even the criteria for the current relationship. But
Mm.
you are looking at this act like this is something that you despise and something that you hate, and you ain't never did it with me though.
There we
So it
go.
could be a completely different experience.
Dre, I will not go off on a tangent on this, but I just started exploring. I'm a huge fan of Shan Boudram. I've talked about her before, but I love her. And she's a sexologist and a sex expert, and her mindset and all the teachings that she does, that she's learned fascinate me. And I recently was diving into an episode of her show where she talks about how important freedom is in your ability to have great sex with your partner. And what you just talked about is a freedom, being able to free your now wife, but the ex of somebody else who set an expectation for her to, you always got to come to the bedroom in lingerie and you can't have anybody here when you come. To say to her, like, I don't require all of that. It's not just expressing your expectation, like I don't need that, but it also, I'm sure you have no idea how that freed her from that. To say like, this man will accept me naked in a t-shirt, in some pajamas, with a little peach fuzz. Like that's totally okay. And he will still be able to connect with me intimately and physically without making me feel like I have to appear perfect. And I think that's another crucial part. And it's something like literally, Dre, I just was like listening to this like 3 days ago. I was quarantined because I just got over having the C word. And
Mhm.
so I just was like getting into things that I have been kind of stockpiling of stuff I wanted to catch up on. And so that is so, so, so important to free your partner from things that you think that they care about, or you might care about, where they like, I don't care about that. Now, listen, I'm a woman of a particular size. I'm a fluffy lady. And there are things about my body that I'm like, oh, I gotta hide it. I gotta show, I gotta put a t-shirt on, I gotta blah, blah, blah. And I'm thankful for the men that have said, girl, I don't care nothing about that food, but bring it over here. I don't care nothing about it. Now, another man may not like that, and that's cool. He's not the guy for me, but setting me free in that way allows me to come to the bedroom and have no reservation. And my mind is not thinking about, oh, what does my fupa look like? My mind is like, this man loves me and he loves my body and he just wants to connect with me, regardless
Mhm.
of what I care about. So kudos to you for setting your wife free in that way, because freedom does lend itself to a better sex life for sure. For sure.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
sure she
absolutely.
enjoys that too.
Yes, I know she does. I know my girl enjoys that. So let's jump into truly helping our real lover, because she really wants to understand how to navigate what is likely going to feel like a bit of an uncomfortable conversation, right? And I feel like as our resident man of the group, I really want to know from you, like, how would you want to receive this information? Like, is there a particular communication method that would make this land on you in a way that wouldn't make you feel less than a man, or wouldn't make you feel like, damn, you really hurt my feelings?
Oh, that's a good question. So there's a few things that I think about this, Rhonda, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Number one is that it always baffles me, and we talk about this too, why when it comes to sex, we don't want to have an open conversation about something that we dislike or something that we do like.
Yeah.
It's like if you married somebody, and they cooked for you every night, and they cooking burnt, well done steaks, right?
Oof.
Every single night. You just gonna keep eating a burnt, well done steak because you don't feel like talking to them?
I'm
No,
not.
you will probably you you over there plate trounced in A1 sauce because you trying to get some type of moisture back to that steak rather than communicating to that person and you don't like your steak cooked that way. It don't make
Yeah.
no sense. Like
None.
you wouldn't do that. You would say like, hey, like I prefer my steaks medium, right? Or
Mhm,
medium
mhm.
rare, or however you like it cooked. I like a little salt in there, maybe some oregano. Like this is kind of how I like it. But when it comes to the conversation of sex, for some reason, we don't like to communicate. And you know what's also so weird to me too, Rhonda, and
Mhm, mhm.
what something I think a lot of people don't understand, right? Is that, and the real lover said in this, is that a lot of people don't want to have these conversations because they feel like it's awkward, because they feel
Yeah,
like they might hurt the person's feelings. They feel bad for communicating how they feel and how the person may take it, right?
yeah,
But inevitably, right, it always happens. There is some type of explosion or outburst where the raw feelings actually do come out. And what is
yeah.
the first thing that person says? Why didn't you tell me?
Yep.
It's always the first thing they say. So you did all
Mhm.
this avoiding not telling them to hurt their feelings, but then when it actually comes out, typically when you're really fed up at this point, right?
Yep.
The first thing they say back to you is, why didn't you just tell me?
Yeah.
So the thing is that, number one, the longer you drag this along, the worse it's going to be,
Yep.
because when you do say it and they ask how long you've been dealing with this, oh, it's been, I mean, 7 months. Why are you just telling me this now? Like,
Mhm.
you really got me down here thinking I'm doing something,
Killing the game.
killing it, right? And I'm not, which
Mhm.
is not even really an issue if we talk about it, right? If you
Yeah,
told me in that moment, this is what I like, this is what I don't like this is what I prefer, this is what I don't prefer, right? And you may open a door sometimes for you guys to have that conversation back and forth, right? Because times the other person is scared to say certain things too, and maybe just you opening the door like unlocks a new level in your relationship, because then it's like, okay, now I thought this was the room we couldn't go in. But now
yeah,
that we can actually go in this room, then we can start to explore all the things in this room and really find that connection and intimacy that we talked about. That's what builds that level of comfortability and that level of trust. So there is no sometimes right way to say it. The wrong way is to wait and wait till it bubbles over,
yeah.
and you can't control how it's coming out or how you're going to say it, right? The
Mhm.
moment is to find a place to where he doesn't feel uncomfortable or threatened. I always say the best form of communication is communicating effectively. So you know your man better than we do. You have to understand what, in what way, in what timing, and in what place can I give him this message to where he'll receive what I'm saying and not take it in an offensive way. There might be a little hit to the pride, but it's better that you guys have this conversation and you sandwich that thing. Rhonda talks about that all the time. Hey,
Love
baby,
it.
I love you. I love when we doing this. I love we doing that. I prefer not to do this, or I prefer not to do that. Or you can set it up to where it's like, don't put it on him. Just say like, hey, I think it would be a great exercise to really dive into like our sexuality and sexual preferences, because it's not something that we really talked about. Right. So
Yeah,
maybe we just have a night. Maybe it's a card game you find or something like that, to where it's just like,
yeah.
make it picnic style, lay a blanket out on the floor, get some candles going, and like we just exploring and
Yes.
trying things. We can laugh about some things. Like, it's not even really have to be like sex is what we're doing. It's just really a fun intimacy building activity to where we're just exploring what we like and what we don't like, and you can communicate it in that way. But I will also say too, I don't know what the issue is, because a lot of times, Rhonda, we talk about, or not we, you talk about that, there are certain um requirements to ride the ride, right? from a
Right.
guy, you know, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Yes.
but when it comes to oral, I mean, we all got, I feel like, what should be necessary, extremities to perform a good job if taught
Yeah.
correctly. So
Yes.
I wouldn't give up the thought or feeling of like, maybe I can actually communicate. I can say this is what I like, or this is
Yeah.
how I like it to be done, versus just giving it all up completely as like, whoop, well, tried it once, tried it a few times, and just not hitting. And I feel like I
Mhm.
shouldn't have to teach you how to do that. It's like, nah, that's part of this whole experience and becoming intimate is like learning each other. Like you
Totally.
had brought up earlier in the episode, being your person's pleasure partner. That's what that is. It's like I should know
Mhm.
every button to press, when to press it, how to press it, when to press it, how long to press it. Like I should know every intimate detail of your body because we have that intimate connection. To where somebody off the street, even if you super attracted to them, they ain't gonna be able to please you like I do because they don't know the code. They don't know the keys. They don't
Whew.
they don't have they
Say
don't have the answer sheet. Like they don't got it. So it's like
they
that's what
don't.
we need to do, you know?
That's it, man. You pick, send my boy Cash App. Send my boy Dre a Cash App. We just cooked that. Let me tell you something. I don't think that there's anything that you should feel overly uncomfortable about talking to a person that you say you want to spend the rest of your life with. I think yes, you can feel uneasy. You might be cautious about hurting their feelings, and that says that you care about them, because anybody that you don't care about, you don't care if you hurt their feelings, right? But if we are going to do this thing together and we are going to do it for life, I have to get over my fears of like keeping it bottled in. Like Dre said, the wrong way to communicate this is to not communicate it. The other wrong way to communicate this is to make him feel stupid or incompetent, that he's incapable of doing it. If you love him and you trust him and you have this emotional connection to him, one of the biggest things that women do for men is believe in them, support them. So even though this is something as simple as giving oral sex, you have to believe that he's capable of getting it right. But he doesn't know that he's doing it wrong right now because you're laying there allowing him to do it, not adjusting, not even waiting. I would also say during the act is probably also not the best time to try to fix it if you haven't prepped it. If you haven't said, okay, like Dre said, you lay out the blanket and we having candles, or we playing a game. And there are plenty of games out here. Some that just scratch the surface of talking about it, some that give you whole instruction. Okay. So there's no shortage of things out here that can guide you.
That's part
Find
of
them and use.
learning
That's a part
right
of learning.
there.
Like let's
Hey,
practice.
listen,
Let's
but stop. I was stop fake moaning because it's like a game of operation. I need to know when I'm hitting the wrong spot or the right spot. So that's
that's
part of
right.
learning. Like the real as you get more experience in the act, especially with a new partner, right? That's your
Mhm.
learning, right? I do a little bit. It's like you throw out six moves and you see what get a reaction, right?
That's
And then you're like,
right.
oh, that's the move right there. I'm gonna stay
That's
on
the
number
one.
three right there, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
keep applying pressure to number three. So it's
That's
like
it.
if you making him think he killing it, then it's like what you expect to change.
Nothing is going to change if you're not being honest. And listen, I did not learn to be honest about what I was experiencing sexually until I was in my 30s. And I started having sex well before then. Okay. So there is a thing, I think, with some women, and I don't even say most or definitely not all, but there is a thing with some women where we feel pressured to make you feel good about what you're doing, to make a man feel like you're doing this. But I tell you, a man that is truly committed to pleasing you does not want you to lie to him. He does not want you to fake orgasm. He does not want you to act like you like what he's doing. He wants to know that he is absolutely doing what you want him to do, and you're doing it, and he's doing it right. He wants to satisfy you in this way. A good man wants to satisfy you in all of the ways, but a man just in his natural nature most certainly wants to conquer you, and not in a harmful way, but conquer you sexually. And so if you are laying there acting like you like something, making the faces, making the sounds, and it's not authentic, it's you're doing both of you a disservice. You're certainly doing yourself a disservice. 'Cause let me tell you something. I don't remember the last time I faked, and I'm never going to do it again in my life. Like, I have literally stopped the person in the act. I have become so confident in my sexual being and in my sexuality that I won't even proceed with sex that I can't enjoy, because not only is this your experience, it's my experience. And I want it to be good for both of us. And if we both aren't enjoying this, I'm not about to lay here and let you just enjoy it while I'm just a warm body for you to just enjoy. So,
Yeah,
ladies,
I don't
be
get that.
honest. Yeah, and I think again it's a deeper conversation that certainly ties into patriarchy and all that foolishness, but we are
Yeah.
long beyond that, especially when it comes to our bodies. If you are going to be laying down with a person, and again in this relationship with our real lover, like, you really love this man. Like, this is a wonderful relationship and he's doing so many other things well. You don't think he wants to get this right? He absolutely wants to get this right. I don't even know him, and I know he wants to get this right. He's just waiting for you to help him get it right.
Yeah,
That's it.
I don't there's things in relationships that I don't like doing in my relationship, but I wouldn't call it a pleasurable experience, right? Like taking the trash out, that's my
Yeah.
responsibility. I know I gotta do that, but that ain't a pleasurable experience for me, anyways. You're not
Yeah.
about to turn a pleasurable experience into a
A
dreadful
chore.
experience, like a chore.
Yes.
Like, nah, dog. Like, I ain't going to get a massage and just sitting through somebody with their elbow in my back, and I'm like, ah, ah, ah,
No,
that
no.
hurt. That hurt. No,
Or
I'm
or
supposed to be
worse, or
relaxing.
worse, or worse, they're doing that and you're laying there like, "Oh, that feels so good. Oh, that's so
Heck
nice."
no.
No, that doesn't feel nice.
Not That's what I said. Not during the time that's supposed to be pleasurable for me. Maybe if I'm
Yeah.
recovering from an injury and you got to stretch me out because it's part of the rehab process, then it's like,
Mhm.
it's not supposed to be enjoyable. It's not a pleasurable experience, anyways. It'd be nice if it felt good, but that ain't what I'm here for, right? But
Right.
if I'm supposed to be having a pleasurable experience, I mean, we all done been out to a restaurant, spend our good money, and it has some nasty food, and you mad because you like, I came out, I could have cooked. I came out to enjoy a meal, and the service horrible, the food
Yeah.
horrible. It's
Yep.
trash. Like, I'm
That's
you're
it.
upset about that, and a lot of times you're gonna make your opinion known, whether
That's it.
verbally or by zero in the tip line. If that's how you really
Yeah.
feel, like, you're gonna make it known. So it's important in these relationships that you have with people that you truly love, that are kind, that are affectionate, that you communicate. And that is really the test. Like, not saying that I don't tell people to test your relationship, but I always say this, that everything you do in your relationship is a brick in building your relationship house.
Yes.
Are the bricks
Yes.
laid perfectly? Is the house strong? The only way you know is by hitting a wall, a few storms coming. That's how you really know if it's there to stand the test of time. And
Yeah.
sometimes you got to have those moments to see, like, oh, we still here. Door ain't fly off, windows ain't in. Like, we good. But
Yep.
that storm is building up more and more momentum. The more that you wait to actually have that conversation, it's just winding and winding and winding, and those winds are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And
Mm.
then you got a category 5 argument on your hands because you waited, and when you could have, got the situation handled
Yep.
while it was still a little rainstorm.
That's right. That's right. It's so true. So just don't sit on things. Like, festering creates resentment. This is when you're arguing about 10 other things than what the actual problem is. This is when you let this thing become a cancer, and it's spreading into all different parts of the body of your relationship, into the foundation that you built with your relationship. And so, while yes, it could feel very trepidatious to have to say to your man, like, "Hey, I do enjoy our intimate life, but I'm just not enjoying the oral sex." As Dre said, he has at least from what we know, he has the physical anatomy in order
I
to
know.
do it.
Is
He's
that a
got a
bad
mouth.
assumption? Like,
I mean, it might be, but I mean, I think that she would have probably included that, like, oh,
he ain't got a
his tongue
tongue.
got cut off when he was 10, like I think she would have said that. But I also want to
Hmm,
be clear that what everyone likes is not the same thing. So
very
maybe
true.
he hasn't experienced a woman that likes it the way that you like it. You know what I mean? So he's just used to what he has learned from those previous partners. Maybe he was even with a woman who didn't like it, so he could be out of practice for some time. You never know what's actually going on until you start to have the conversations. And I will say some of the lightest, funniest conversations I've had in partnership have actually been about sex. Like honestly, like like laughing, like even if it's like we had a great sex session, but it included some wild sounds or some crazy facial expressions that we
Yeah.
got to just laugh about. You know what I mean? Like that
Or
is a
you
time
tried
that
something
is,
that ain't work, but it
yeah,
was
like what is
ambitious.
this position? Like
We was
get
like,
up.
what?
Like this my leg hurt or I got a cramp. You know what I'm saying? Like I come on, get up. You know what I mean? Like that's sex is certainly meant to make babies and create family and create closeness. But to me, sex is supposed to be fun. This is the time where we listen. We are naked. Okay, like if we can't just enjoy this, why are we doing it? And I want to enjoy every part of it. I don't even want to have to think about, oh, I only like the intercourse, but I got to leave the oral sex behind. I don't even want to think about that. I want to enjoy all of the things that we really like together. And if that is the only thing that's keeping me from that is a conversation or a few conversations, maybe we gonna have them conversations. Cause trust me, if you don't like something I'm doing to you, please tell me so I can fix it.
And
Please.
I feel like that's a sign of me wanting to, that's a sign of commitment almost. It's
Yes.
like me expressing to you, what will make this work for me for the long haul, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if I know you ain't gonna be here in a week, I mean,
Who
I
cares?
ain't having I ain't having a conversation with you. I could care less, right? But if I'm
Mhm.
bringing this to you, that lets you know, like, this ain't a bad thing. This is a thing that I'm telling you because I want this to work. I want to extend this
Yep.
relationship. I want to enjoy what we're doing for the long haul. So I am communicating this to you so that you can understand that, and we can be better off, years and years down the road. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Well, to our real lover, we hope we were able to help you, girl. Rip the band aid off and have the conversation. He sounds like a lovely man, and I would hate for this to hold you guys back. I think, in the grand scheme of things, this sounds like a bit of a small problem. So let's just get over it so you can start having some good orgasms from oral sex, okay, baby? We want that for you. We want that for you. We want that for all of you, okay? And if you have a if you have a real love scenario you want to share with us, please write into us. I do want to share one of our comments here, which I thought was just really cool from Gloria. Thanks for tapping in tonight. Gloria says, I love this topic and I wish I could experience this with my love, which is not possible. I'm healing. So the thought of doing this with someone else is kind of scary for me, but I really enjoy listening. And Gloria, that's real, honey. Like I hear you and I feel that. And I look forward to having all of these experiences with the love of my life one day. But enjoy the ride while you're here. Learn, soak it all up, and wishing you happy and healthy healing along the way. You'll get there. You'll definitely get there.
for sure.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tapping in tonight. But yes, if you have a real love story you want to write into us, head to the website and submit to the show. And please be sure to follow us on social media. At Ronnie Cakes
As Dre Smith.
and at Relationship Restored. And if you are watching this on replay, share, share, share. Send this link to two friends or family members that you think would benefit from this conversation. That is how we grow. And listen, we have a community and we want you to be a part of it. I'm so excited about the Bible study that's going to be starting soon. Like, I have been out of church for a while, and I feel like this is going to be my gateway. So I'm excited about Bible study. But listen, we having all types of good conversations in the community. So we want you to join. You can also head to the website to get more information on joining our community. Dre, did I miss anything?
No, you did not. You did a wonderful
All
job.
right. Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. Listen, we'll see you guys back here next Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
Peace.